There we go.
We're live.
Is that Tony Bennett?
What? Who is it?
Yeah, it is Tony Bennett.
Ah,
Let us know. Let us know.
no, not here. Let it snow in the mountains.
It's already snowing.
That's
Yeah,
right.
no, yeah.
Yes, it's already snowing.
Alexa, stop. All right, we're live, Mamma Ruth.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday show, Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's everybody doing with this cold weather?
It's
It is
cold.
nice. It's nice and cold.
It's cold.
You're from New York. I mean, this is like springtime.
This is springtime weather. What are you talking about?
Oh, Lord.
I'm from Illinois. This isn't cold. I already walked my 3 miles. It was 20.
Well, Barbara, you're from Chicago, right?
A northwest suburb. West of Chicago. Yeah.
West Chicago. Okay.
We're closer
it's
to Wisconsin than the city.
So it's never cold for y'all. You and Steven are
We have antifreeze in our blood.
That's
oh,
right.
Lord.
I think it's getting a little thinner, but I won't let it.
I know I'm cold. Even though
Well-
Texas is cold, but down there it's like a dry weather, burning cold. Here,
Yeah.
I know I walked this morning to take my son to school and it was freezing cold.
Yeah, well, Barbara, what you mentioned was very important because today was like, it got down to the 20s, and when you wake up this morning, there was frost on the windshields. You have to be careful stopping out because there may be some ice on your.
Black ice. Yep.
I have been one of those persons that went out the back door and there was ice from the water bowl and.
Whoa.
And,
Terrible.
Yeah. So, well, everyone, welcome to Coffee and Pan Dulce. Today is December the 2nd, 2020. Only 28 or 29 days left in 2020. Yay. Welcome to Coffee and Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Mamma Ruth, and our other guests that are here, our neighbors with us. Thank you for all those who are joining us on Facebook Live and also those who join us on YouTube and Facebook later. We want to go around the screen, introduce yourself, and so that gives us time to share us on Coffee and on other social media platforms. Today's topic is Joe Biden better for our Latinx community? That's what we'll be talking about, but I'm sure we'll be talking about many other things as we have right before the show. So, Mamma Ruth, you know who is in the Brady Bunch screen?
I'm trying to figure it out. It seems like it was Steven before, but now he jumped out. So
Yeah, Steven does.
Barbara now.
Steven does this trick where every once in a while his name pops up, then it's a space.
Actually, I see Steven, I
Okay.
see Steve, and then Barbara, and then me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Here's
let's
my
start.
Brady Bunch. Here's my Brady Bunch.
Excellent.
So it's less of a trick and more of the fact that my computer has a faulty driver with the camera as it interfaces with Zoom. I don't know why. It is what it is.
Yeah, you
But I'm
do-
Steven DiFiore. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm an awesome guy. I work with the Libertarian Party of North Carolina, and I'm the recording secretary for the local county affiliate. I think I'm pretty swell, and everyone who knows me thinks that's too. They often say it. They often do. Steve's the greatest guy. He's the best. He's tremendous.
Oh, Lord.
That's your good Trump imitation. Very, very good.
I love it. I was going to say, that sounds
Yeah,
just like Trump.
everybody says that about me, right? Yeah. Good one. Good
You
morning.
are so phenomenal.
We're going to get zapped. Good morning. I'm Barb Bacon. I'm a healthcare advocate here in South Charlotte. And I did not think it was cold this morning. I grew up in Illinois, so it was chilly, but I didn't think it was cold. Plus, I had my Illinois outdoor clothes on, so I was good. So I'm done.
Great. Well, this is Mamma Ruth Perez here at Community Advocate. I do feel the cold weather. I love it, but I do feel it. I went this morning and it was cold, cold, cold. I don't know if we talk about our imaginary button, but my imaginary button this morning and hopefully for the rest of my year, it's Medicare for all. We definitely need to fight harder and harder to make that reality come through. Some of y'all might say Medicare for all. The other ones say, what is it? Pro care or whatever for all.
JCA.
I don't care as long as it's for equality and equity for everyone in this country. So next, hi Joel, good morning, you're next.
Joel, you're next.
Is he there?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Okay. Am I on? Can you hear me?
Yep.
You're on.
I love the turtleneck.
Excited to just be next. All right. I'm always
Looks
excited for the
Christmassy.
show. My name is Joel Odom. I am a community advocate here in Charlotte, North Carolina. If I had a button, it would be Black Lives Matter. If I had a mask, if my mask were on, it'll say, "Vote, baby, vote." Always encourage people to vote.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, welcome, Joel. And we want to ask you about something special that you're doing. I believe it's with, we'll ask you about that here in a second. And you can kind of explain to us. I saw that on social media that you shared. You were collecting some, well, I'll let you explain it because I'm not exactly sure. So I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts on Coffee and Panduce. It's so great to see you the first Wednesday of December. We have 5 Wednesdays in December to celebrate the ending of 2020 so we can get this year behind us. My buy buttons obviously are Medicare for all. I'm still supporting Medicare for all, trying to get that into reality one day. Also, Moms Demand Action, gun sense legislation is very important. Trust women, because I can't get this sticker off my jacket without actually
You're
running.
stuck.
But I do believe you should trust women. Oh gosh, I need to tell you something, and I know we go. When I was working the polls on election day, I had a I had a Biden sign, and I was next to a Trump person, and so we got on great. We were shaking hands, and everyone was taking pictures of us together. This one guy comes up to me because I also at one time was supporting Brandon Lofton. I had a Brandon Lofton sign, and the guy walks up and he said, "Are you Brandon Lofton?" I said, "Oh, no, sir, I'm just supporting Brandon Lofton." He goes, "Well, I didn't think you were an attorney because you've got that Trust Women sign on." And no, really, it was, and I was like, "How do you reply to that?"
Yeah, I would have been speechless.
It was, all of us who work the polls and work campaigns, we get people say stuff to us as if though we're not, anyway. I thought I would share that with you. So as we always do,
It's funny. It's good.
Yeah, I know. As we always do a Coffee and Panduce, let's salute to our neighbors with the coffee or whatever you're drinking. I have a new cup.
I'm getting problems with my computer, so I didn't even grab my coffee.
Cup out now, yeah.
Oh,
Mamma
Lord.
Ruth is going to go grab her coffee, or someone is.
I did.
We also want to thank our Panduce sponsor. Don't forget, it's still time to get your tamale orders in for your holidays. If you order those things, our tres leche cakes, or Panduce. I've got Panduce from Manolo's Bakery on Central Avenue. Please support your Black and brown businesses during the holiday season so we can keep them in business so they can survive until this global pandemic gets a little bit more under control. Stephen and I had some great conversations about trying to educate businesses on what to do. Maybe we can talk about that someday, but today we are going to talk, our topic is, will Biden be better for our Latinx community than Trump or even Obama or even Bush or Clinton? There's some great articles that came out. Of course, after every election, everyone knows all the data people go and they start to look at who voted for who and what you could do to win them over and who want, all this stuff. We do know, and it's still early, that Hillary Clinton won, or the Latino vote, or at least those who identify as Latinos, because there are many people who are a Latino heritage that don't check Latino or Hispanic. They just check white, and they don't go further. So there may be more. We don't actually know that. Hillary won about 66% of the Latino Hispanic vote in 2016. They do believe that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually won more than that percentage, but those final numbers aren't there. But what everyone has been talking about is how well Trump did in Miami-Dade County and also down in South Texas, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
And so, they're wondering, everyone's trying to figure out what happened, what it was, and so forth. And there's a lot of articles about what it could be. And it's great to have Joel on here as well, because I guess the same question can be, And I've already guessed what Stephen may say about this. I wrote it down here, so I just want to see if I know Stephen that well by now. So we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen, and from your perspective or your lens, do you think Joe Biden will be better for our Latino Americans, our Latinx Americans, than Trump and previous presidents? Or what are your thoughts? Who would like to go 30 seconds?
Can we exclude Trump? Because we definitely know that there's no one worse than him. So
He's the best president there's ever been. Ask anybody who knows him. They'll tell him best 4 years in American history. Economy's on fire. Were it not for
Everybody
the
says
China
that.
plague, everything would have been great.
Okay. Well, that's not what I thought you would say, Trump. I mean, Trump.
Oh my gosh, Christian, come
Just
on.
really insulted him.
No, but Mama Ruth, I mean, let's be fair. There are many people of all groups that voted for Trump. 77.
yeah, but there's no one in his fan club that would say or believe that he did anything for the Latinos. Come on.
But they voted for him in South Texas and Miami-Dade. So I mean, there are we had the country Mexican on here saying, remember that
You gotta
Trump
keep in mind that some of these Latinos that voted for him did not see themselves as Latino. They seen themselves, or they seen Trump as a money machine maker, thinking that economy was gonna be for the best for them.
Okay.
It's not about being Latino or black or white. It was their money.
Okay.
And also, he led them to believe that Biden is a socialist. And if you come from certain countries like Cuba and El Salvador, and
Will become as Cuban. Yeah.
and
Communist.
it scares them. Our really good friend is from Cuba, and he did his best in South Florida to talk to people about it. And you say the word socialist, and that's in their head, and he couldn't get it out of there. His own family. So they said the right things to the right groups and got more of the vote than they did in 2016. But can that change? Yeah, I think it can.
So Mama Ruth is saying, if I hear you correctly, that we shouldn't talk about Trump because I don't know. I mean, I do think there are some Latinos or Latinx people who like Trump and think that he did well for them. I mean, the ones on the board of the article that I'm reading.
Yeah, like the one that I respect, my good friend, she moved to Florida and she thinks
so.
best.
I mean, like, in South Texas, one of the reasons that the article said that a lot of the Hispanics or Tejanos voted for Trump in those counties was because his law and order, his border security, those type of issues, that was very important to them. So I don't know, Stephen, and then Joel, I really want to hear your perspective, because we went through 4 years or almost a lot, especially this last year, of Trump telling us he's done more for African Americans and Black Americans than any president ever in history.
Keep in mind, a lot of our Latinos, Hispanics, are very religious. Catholic has hit so hard. So a lot of them had voted for him just for the meaning that he grabbed the Bible and said, I love God. So of course they make him believe like he's a good to be followed. That doesn't mean that he was gonna do something for them. It was just, okay, I believe in God. Since we don't see God, then he's saying the right thing, and that's it.
Yeah, I'll say this this is my honest opinion. Will Joe Biden be a better president for the Latino community or minority communities in general? And the answer to that question is, I actually have no idea. I know when Biden was a senator, he was an advocate in the 90s for some laws that have some very serious negative effects on huge swaths of the American population. Now, has he since then had his come to Jesus moment and said, oh, I want to do something different? Who knows? But a lot of Americans feel that way. And Biden, whatever you may want to say negative about him, he is a creature of Washington, D.C. He's a political animal. He can see which way the winds of public opinion are going, and he will follow the winds of the public in the best tradition of a political centrist. Now, a lot of people on the right will say, Biden's a radical lefty. He's not. he's if you look at his policies, starting in the 80s through the 90s and continuing on, he's kind of a centrist Democrat.
Yes.
It is what it is. It could be worse, right? The one big negative I see, that a huge glaring negative I see, is that it is likely, because of the kind of people that he surrounds himself with, that the United States will launch some kind of war with another country. Say what you want about Trump. One thing that he did at the past three presidents, one thing that Trump didn't do that the past three presidents before him did, right, is launch a war somewhere else in the world. We had no new wars under Trump, right? That's like the one good thing in his belt. Under Biden, I just don't think that's going to be the case, and that is something for a pro-peace guy like me, just makes me kind of whinge. But that's we will see what happens, where things go.
But don't you think that Trump has set up ignition areas where it could happen very quickly, and he seems to be trying to accelerate that now? Look at what's going on with Iran now.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything to stifle it. I don't know. I don't.
Barbara,
The Iran issue is really, really complicated. And that would take an entire episode, maybe two, or a series to discuss it. But I will say this.
Israel, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hugely complicated issue, and there are no good guys in the Middle East. Like, that's the one thing you have to understand if you're going to talk about Middle East politics. There are no good guys anywhere in the Middle East. And so you're doing the best you can with what you have.
Well, I think what Barbara is saying, and interesting she said that, because my neighbor who lives 2 houses down, she was walking her dog and we were talking about counting down the days to January 20th, and we're both going to celebrate. And she said she was very concerned that he's putting these landmines around the world where Biden is going to have to spend time getting us out of this mess with the murder of the Iranian scientists that they allowed Israel to do, she believes, and so forth, and that they were trying to do it under Trump's watch because he's not going to go after them. Whereas if it happened under Biden's watch, he would have retaliated against Israel, and we would have had sanctions against Netanyahu or whatever. Anyway, that's way too complicated for our show today. But Joel, the reason that I think this is really important, because I think you and I hope we agree that Black and brown issues are like this. We're intertwined. I mean, on many of them. And so I'm curious from your perspective, if you think Joe Biden is going to be better for our Black and brown community than maybe other presidents, or what do you think?
Well, I don't really think the decision is really up to him to say. I do believe that our African-American community, Latinx communities are more woke and more up to date on what's happening in every state. With the use of technology, we are able to connect and intertwine with one another and stand together. And so I do believe in 2021, Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris and their administration will really have no choice than to see the problems that they said they were going to fix, because everyone can see them now. You can point stuff out and Twitter reacts so fast, and it gets on the news quickly. And dealing with international problems, that by itself takes a lot, because Trump has done a lot, I would say, in international realm, with not being a part of the global warming treaty, and also with the UN, and how he takes, he's more down, pushes people, nudges people, whatever. But what I can say, if you look at international leaders, then for the most part, everyone's conservative Christian. So Germany, England, major players are usually just conservative Christians. So he kind of fits in. He's just like Trump is a fake evangelicus Christian Catholic, whatchamacallit. I don't know what he is. I don't even think he know. He just goes and he claps like this.
Sure. So I guess what I'm hearing, and that was a good point, Joel. What you said is you're not really sure, and I guess that's kind of what I would think that Stephen would say as well, that you're not really sure that President Biden or President-elect Biden and Kamala Harris have much to do as much as presidents before, because we're a lot more in control of our own destiny now because we are so much more engaged.
Yes.
So, but this is what I thought Stephen would say, and I wrote it down before the show. And I thought Stephen would say, yes, Joe Biden is going to be better for America. Yes, Joe Biden will be better for Latinx Americans because they are Americans, and Joe Biden will be better for Americans. Is that some?
That is okay. So one, I would never say Latinx.
Yes,
Mariana would kill me.
I know you would.
But and I would never give such praise to a Democrat.
I know you. I know. But your message has always been, whenever we've been talking about groups, because I kind of agree with you. I mean, I always, when I look at the articles that are being written about, will he be better for Hispanics or Latinx or whatever term they use, it's usually they talk about education, they talk about economy. If we can get the debt down, then it would help people. If we can get, and I'm like, well, those aren't any different concerns from Latinx people than African American people or Jewish Americans or
I do like the fact that, say what you will about Biden or centrist Democrats like him or even neoliberals, a lot of the folks that are in positions of power for whatever reason, these reasons are probably good, have a very unified idea about what it is to be an American. And so I believe that they believe in their heart of hearts that they're patriots. And so that's good. And we may disagree on policy and politics, and that's kind of normal. And I will say this, the debt is an important issue. And it's an issue that only a Democrat president can tackle, because the Republicans are structurally incapable of doing anything about the national debt. They're as a party, they're too weak and incompetent. And they're always budget hawks when they're the opposition party, and whenever they're in power, it's always spend because Republicans don't stand for anything. I'm talking about the political party, not individuals who may align themselves as a Republican or not. And Democrats, you can lay similar criticisms against them, but they are the only ones who could actually do anything about the debt, because if nothing else happens, the Republicans just won't fight them on it, because it's not a political winner for them. And so that's one good thing. So for any conservative viewer watching today, if you're really, really worried about the debt, like I am, not that I'm a conservative, but like conservatives typically are worried about the debt, a guy like Biden would be the only one to be able to do something. And he would be working with the new Fed chair, right? Who is of a mindset that fiscal and fiduciary policy has to be the primary goal of the Fed.
I think we just heard Stephen.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I think we just heard Stephen say he's happy that Joe Biden's coming in and had some really good things to say about Democrats. It must be Christmas. I'm gonna.
All right, so let me cleanse the palate then. While Biden, I'm not afraid of. Harris scares the ever-living crap out of me, and we can talk about that all day long if you want.
Well, we don't want to. Yeah. Okay. So Mamma Ruth is back. I don't know if you want to add anything, Mamma Ruth. Do you think Joe Biden is going to be better? I mean,
sometimes it's not good to have too much high hopes until we start seeing the work. I have a lot of faith that we'll see a lot of changes. I'm just hoping he does not fail us, and he does what he said he's supposed to do. And it seems like he started choosing some of very key people right now, right before he goes in. And that talks a lot about him. Good, giving opportunities, giving women's voice power and all that. So I'm hoping that we'll see
a lot of women.
So I'm going to say something that's going to get me in trouble.
Now, before you go further, Chris, let's keep in mind, we're all human beings and we all make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes help us to kind of retract ourselves and get on a better track and get better next time. So yes, Biden has done, because I did my research and stuff, and I know he did a lot of things when he was senator, and he kind of took privilege of him being white and stuff, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to change and make it better now. So I'm hoping he does.
So I'm going to say something that I know is probably not what someone normally would say who supports our Latinx community and so forth, but I just hope that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris don't fall into the trap of Latinx or Latino activists who push this narrative that our number one issue is immigration, because our immigration and immigration reform in DACA, that is not our community's number one issue. No. They represent a very, very small percentage of our community, and we do care about them. But there are many other issues that are important to us: infrastructure, education, jobs, health, those kind of things, gun control. Those are important. So I do hope that we don't get tagged with
poverty at all. I mean, just poverty. That's the key to success on everyone's life.
And those aren't very different than white community people, right, or African American community. We all have very similar issues. I guess what I'm saying is I just don't want us to be tagged anymore by Democrats as, when I want to reach out to Latinos, I need to talk about immigration or DACA or that's important to all of us. It's not just specifically important to us. It just so happens that there may be more, Latino or Latinx undocumented individuals, but it's important. I mean, we don't want people crossing the border illegally that are dangerous. We want secure borders. We want those kind of things as well. But we want to treat people with humanity. So that's what I really hope that, I don't know if it's going to be that much different, but I just hope that, because all the articles that I'm reading about, will Biden do better for the Latino Americans or Hispanic Americans?
But why focus on Latinos? Why are we being targeted for that? I mean, why are we being blamed?
That's what I thought Stephen would say. What I thought Stephen would say was I hope Biden's good for all Americans, not just Latino Americans. And you're great, because there's sometimes when people, I realize that when we talk about our communities and we talk, that's just how it's done. But there are also times where I want to be considered like any other American, not just as a Latino, and so I don't know, anybody would.
Well, I will say this, for anyone who's concerned about immigration reform talk, be comforted, it will only ever be talk, because neither party will ever do anything to fix the immigration issue. They just won't.
Right.
Because if you fix the issue, you can't run on it.
Nope.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, it needs to be fixed because it's so discombobulated, and we've got,
It would be beneficial for a lot of people if the issue were resolved in a better, more even-handed way. But if you fix the issue, what are the Republicans and Democrats who have no policies going to run on? Because they almost all, whether it's state or federal, whether it's Senate or House of Representatives, it's all rhetoric. They don't actually do anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we talk about the people in this region who talk about affordable housing. It's this hollow term. We always talk about affordable housing. They've been talking, I looked it up. They've been talking about affordable housing since the 1960s here in Charlotte. And it's just something people run on because
it's a go-to, because people have in their head what affordable housing means, but like no one ever fleshes out the idea.
Yeah, because it's a subjective. Affordable housing to me is different than someone else, and we all think we pay too much in whatever we do. So it's just, it's like a no, you're never going to win it. But they still run on it because that's just what people do. Anyway,
to go all the way back to the 60s and 70s, when they were originally started talking about it, because it started to grow here, it has gotten so bad, and the inequity is so much. To fix it the way it should be fixed is money we just don't have. And how do you fix that? You've got all these communities that are growing, like this new focus for Charlotte. It's going uppity, 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 and we're not going to have cars, and we're not. I'm like, what? It's
I can
crazy.
tell.
It's crazy.
I can tell Joe wants to jump in.
Go ahead.
Well, you, Mrs. Bacon, you said that we don't have the money for it. Well, during this pandemic, in less than a year, the ultra wealthy of this land made over $10 trillion. And if they could have, if they really wanted to, if they want to pay the debt off so bad, they could direct that money into the deficit. I mean, it is during a recession, it is during a pandemic, but no, instead of putting the money where it's supposed to go, like universal health care for all Americans, making sure people have decent health care and homes to live in, and they can afford to drive a car, because you're not going to tell me our deficit is what, 24 trillion. They made 10 trillion in less than a year.
Right.
And so
I'm not saying it's right.
if we go through another shutdown, and we go through 2021 if we did 2020, that's basically $20 trillion in less than a year, another year. That's $20 trillion in 2 years. So you're not going to tell me they can't pay the deficit and we get the things that we want. If they want to.
Yeah.
And they don't want to. Remember, when the CARES Act was being discussed and passed, Republicans and Democrats got together arm in arm and signed into law the biggest wealth transfer upward in human history. The Republicans and Democrats in Congress made absolutely sure that the 50 richest people, the Fortune 500, were taken care of, and the rest of America got their 1,200 Trump bucks, just their own tax money back, and a promissory note saying you don't have to, if you're a business owner, you don't have to pay your taxes this year. You can pay this year's taxes and next year's taxes next year. Have a good day. And when one congressman, I believe it was Thomas Massey, requested a roll call vote so that whoever voted for it could be recorded for posterity, everyone in that chamber said no. That way, shills could say, oh, I didn't actually vote for it. BS, because you didn't want a roll call vote, which means by default you voted for it. That's what the rules of the Congress are. And it's a disgusting thing, because these people don't represent us. They represent themselves and their donors.
We know it.
Well,
and we keep voting for them for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. So
they keep saying if you don't like them anymore, vote them out in the primary, but it never happens.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example of that happening here in District 12. Right, everyone's favorite Congresswoman, Alma Adams. I've met her. She's a nice lady, right? What did she do?
She got a good hat game.
Yeah, she's got a good hat game. So
watch it now.
when Ayanna Pressley and Justin Amash got together and they proposed on the floor a bill to reform in the House, a bill to reform qualified immunity, right, which is a big issue, right, for criminal justice reform. Where was Alma Adams? You think she would be in favor of that, but crickets. And which community does she purport to represent, and which community would be disproportionately to benefit from reform of that kind? Still crickets. Ran unopposed this year too, mind you. It's really incredible.
That is very interesting. You mentioned that yesterday, because I was on the phone with someone who we were talking about the redistricting after the census, and everything gets redistricted. And we may add another congressional seat here in North Carolina, but the seats will be redistricted. And I assure you that Congress people like Alma Adams, Price, Butterfield, those old guard, are very likely going to be primaried by more progressive, more relevant, I hate to say the word relevant because I believe in term limits. And this theory, which I love Congresswoman Adams. I ran with her in 2016. We campaigned a lot together. But the theory that you need tenure or seniority in Congress to get things done is so baloney. It's selling.
And it's literally not how things work in Congress anymore.
No, exactly, it's not. And so, because if you believe that you need experience and tenure to get things done when you get the job in Congress, what you're saying is none of us could ever get a new job, because once we get a new job, we start new. And so when we get our job, we hit the ground running, and we just do our job. They're trying to tell you that in order for you to get that job, you have to have been in the job before, which makes no logical sense in the real world. And so this belief that, Congressman Claiborne is great for South Carolina because he's been in office for so long. That's not how reality works. That's a bill of goods. You're selling something.
You know who was in office for a long time? Strom Thurmond. Who thinks that him being in Congress until he was like 103 is a good idea?
Yeah, and so, I do believe in term limits, because these individuals like Congressman Adams, they don't have the ability to stop doing what they're doing, to pass the torch along to other people. And it doesn't make them bad people. That's just reality. They get comfortable. They like being in their positions, their taxpayer paid positions. And I have to say it, a lot of Congress people are welfare kings and queens. They live off taxpayers. I mean,
But you got to keep in mind also, there, some of them run for one reason, and they target that particular thing. She's been working a lot for some specific issues that are going on. I know she's done her part for what she has been focused on. Yes, like you mentioned, crickets might be out there, doing things. If that's not her focus, maybe somebody else can do it right. But she's still focusing on doing some stuff that will benefit anyways our county here, our district, and our state.
I mean, I do think that she's done some great stuff for our region, but
just by cutting down college kids, loans, just by doing that, that's a lot. That helps not only the students but the families and their parents, and all those issues. That's a big impact.
Alma Adams did get that HBCU bill passed.
Well, and that's important. And I think those things are important, that she was able to accomplish those things. And I do think that what we have to do as citizens, we have to say thank you for your service. Now let's go work on other issues. How do we make Charlotte the international city that it needs to be? The only way to make Charlotte the international city is we need 2 Congress people, because we're such a big city that we have to have 2 Congress people, the way the district is drawn, that wants to focus solely on international commerce, infrastructure, and that's not Alma Adams's forte. I mean, she represents 3 of the largest banks in America, but she's not on the finance committee, and that shows you how she has no leverage on pushing things. Unfortunately, Bishop is on the finance committee. And so he actually has a more voice on what happens with Charlotte than Congresswoman Adams. And even though I appreciate the fact that Congresswoman Adams fought so hard for HBCUs, she represents a very large district, and not everybody went to an HBCU. How about state colleges? How about private schools? How about other schools? And so I do think that those are the kind of things that we'll see in 20. Anyway, I digress. What I really want to, this topic really wasn't that exciting topic, so I guess we had to come up with some more exciting things to talk about. But Joel, I know that you've got something really big going that you talked about on the last 2 shows. In about 30 seconds.
Give them 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes. We'll give you 2 minutes.
2 minutos.
Yeah, can you tell us what you've got going on as far as the social media posting and stuff?
Yes, I can. This Christmas season, I am doing a Road to 500 holiday card drive, The Gift of Giving, and it's going to be it starts December 1st to December 20th. And so you can mail in a Christmas card and hopefully just write something in a Christmas card. You don't need letters, just write something in a Christmas card. And you can mail it to the address on the flyer or one of our drop-off locations. I'm waiting to hear back from some business owners, right? Like, hopefully today I'll have the permission to just start telling people where to start dropping them off, because there's a couple of them. And so, yes, but yes.
Okay,
And so this morning, I got some good news. The mayor will be doing a card so that's fantastic. I got her and a couple other people.
Wow, good job, Joel. Way to go. I'm so proud of you.
Look,
so we were jokingly going to say which mayor.
Hey, I'm just.
There are lots of mayors out there.
No, I know which one. Joel is one of the few people who actually has the ear of our mayor, and I'm impressed.
Good for you, Joel.
But do you have the ear of Harvey Gantt? Because that would be impressive.
Well, I met him when I was running for mayor. My Aunt Romaine, if you go back to the picture in the newspaper when he was elected, that's my Aunt Romaine that's next to him.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool, man.
Joel's got some connections in this city. I mean, for only 22 years old, he knows some people. So, you
never know. I had to make a couple phone calls the other day to some PR people, and I'm trying to get these cards really going, because I do believe that since COVID-19, the facilities are limited. So, and you can't go see them and stuff like that. So one thing that I want to do, a Christmas card is nice. You can write something very kind in there, very generalistic, because these will be going to male and females. Okay. And so non-binary cards really. And so they're going to get those cards, and when they open them, I just want them to just feel as though, there's some people out here remember them, and there's always hope to do the right thing. You have to encourage our youth, because if they don't get no encouragement right now, it's not good to be locked up like that for a whole year and really not interacting with people and going, doing things on a normal basis. That's really not good.
So, what's the age range from all this team down there?
So I did 500 because North Carolina, I'm going to send them to Cabarrus, North Charlotte, the new juvenile one.
Off of Statesville Road.
Yeah, I'm going to send them all throughout the state of North Carolina. So they're not just going to Mecklenburg. They're also going throughout North Carolina to different kids. And so that's how many beds it really account to. The number is probably going to be less than 500 to be exact, but it's always good to plan over, because I got to call them back and get the exact head count before I ship them to them. And all the letters will be screened, so they're going to be open before they go to anybody. I just want to let you know that.
So basically, what you're he started this drive, which I think is just an incredible. Not only just incredible that you actually were thinking about this, but how important it is to send Christmas cards to these juveniles that are in prison, in jail, or are in some type of facility, to let them know that we care about them. That even though they may have made a mistake, or whatever the case may be, we still care about them. There's still hope afterwards. And that's such a great, that we haven't given up on them. And I say, hey, give them 2 or 3 cards. If we can give them, right, if we can imagine the face of an individual when you're that young, because I think of, I think of just myself as well. And I know, Joel, you have said this as well. I was raised by a single dad who raised 4 kids. And I could just as easily at one point in my life gone one way rather than another way. I was grateful to be raised by a village of Theas who constantly kept touch on me and what are you doing? What are you going? What are you doing? And I was just so afraid to get in trouble. So I'm grateful because I could just as easily, because I kind of grew up where I didn't know it was the hood until after I got out of it. Then I was like, man, I grew up in the hood, so because the hood was black, brown, it was all different colors where I lived, so anyway, this is such a great thing to do. And the fact that we're at home, or some of us are at home, we have time to do it. So, I thank you for doing it. And when you get those drop-off points, please, obviously, come back every week anyway, because you have all these connections. But, we want to support you any way we can. Thank you for doing that. We got about 10 minutes left.
We just send the letters to you, Joel, or how can we tell our community? How can they get involved?
On the flyer, you can mail them to 605 Echodale Drive, and then I will collect them. Or you can, when I get the complete list of all the drop-off locations, I'm going to share it on my Facebook, on all social media. Yeah. And so if you just reach out, DM me, email me, I'll respond. I'm really good at responding. I try to check everything every day just to be sure.
Well, thank you, Joel, for doing what you're doing, and tag us all on social media, and we'll share with our group of individuals.
Put it on the Coffee and Pandusi.
Yes. The flyer that he had yesterday, I'm going to be putting on there, and then when you have the names, we'll put it on there. So
I like this idea. We can all share it to our networks, and we can all pitch in, and follow Joel's lead, right? And help people out.
Well, so that way what's coming up next for the next 4 Wednesdays. Our next Wednesday is the big show. We have been waiting for this show for 2 years because it's our 2-year show. That's one reason, but it's also the great Latinx debate, Medicare for All.
Oh boy.
Steven DiFiore the second, third, which one I can't remember. I assume we'll be talking about the case not for Medicare for All. So Steven, do some homework. I'm sure you've got your workout. And then Dr. Baumfeld will be on here, and we also will have a person with Nurses for Medicare for All on here internationally. She'll be calling in, I believe, either from California. I spoke with her yesterday. And so we will be talking about the great debate. And so that way we can keep it civil. Everyone's comments will be kept to 30 seconds. I know that's hard for all of us to do, especially me. But we're going to be finally talking about the great debate, Medicare for All. And then on the 16th, is it time to stop believing in Santa Claus? That's our conversation. We want a very lighthearted show.
No, Santa Claus is totally real.
Yeah.
Yes. He looks just like my uncle with the beard. I just want to tell you that. So on the 23rd, we want to talk about living Latinx and living as a Christian. We want to talk about the challenges both of living as a Christian and Latinx, and also maybe talk about those who are not, who are agnostic or atheist or Jewish or Muslim or whatever, what it's like living. So hopefully we can have some individuals from different faiths on as well, our non-faiths as well. And then our last show of 2020 will be on December 30th. Goodbye 2020, bless your heart. So
that's my birthday.
Oh, excellent. Well,
I don't admit that very often, but we'll
have a very special show on that day. And if you wondered, because I got an email from someone to ask if we were going to do a Festivus show again. We used to do a Festivus show. We used to do a Festivus show with
I need
Jeff.
to air my grievances.
Yes. So we
engage in
did,
feats of strength.
We did a Festivus show with Jeff. And we are not doing a Festivus show, so maybe we can make it that show also.
Oh my God, is you talking about Festivus from Seinfeld?
Yes.
Oh,
best episode of Seinfeld ever.
So we had a
I don't know what that is.
Festivus.
I never watched Seinfeld. I don't know what that is.
It's Festivus for the best of us. It's
so if I Google it, what will it tell me?
It'll tell you. It was written by a writer from Seinfeld who
never
wrote
watched it.
And they did a show on it. And you have to poll, you air your grievances.
You get to tell your family how
you feel.
they are.
Yes.
How disappointing they are.
How disappointing you are.
Well, I'm the oldest in my family, so I do that on a regular basis. So
yeah, so it was really a funny show that we had, but you have to watch the actual Seinfeld episode to kind of understand it. But you can Google it, and there's a really explanation, and people actually celebrate it kind of as a joke, I guess now. But I
No,
actually,
it's totally serious. It's the most serious of holidays.
well, I like it. You know, it's just like Santa Claus. You know, very
You know
serious.
what's funny?
But
You made a comment about us keeping our conversations less than 30 seconds. And this is the first time I've ever been on this show. And we actually are really at the end, coming
before,
to the end at 11 o'clock.
yes, and we got 5 minutes left. So who wants to talk?
I just have one question for the great debate: Medicare for
Yes.
all versus
Okay.
whatever. I guess.
Yeah.
What Medicare for all proposal? Because there are a couple out there.
Yes, I think the last, I think we're just gonna talk about the last one, because the
Warren's one, you mean?
See, I don't know which. I'll ask which. I'll send you that information, Stephen. I'm not sure because I know there's a new one. There's a new bill that's for the new. That might be. Which one do you want us?
It doesn't really matter because I mean, like everyone's talking about it, like outside of my circles, and it seems to me like a slogan. And slogans are cool and all. Like I use slogans all the time, but if you're going to talk about like a policy, you kind of have to know like what's in the meat of the policy.
No, I hear you. And it'd be great to hear Barbara's feedback as well, because, you know, I agree with Barbara that maybe we need to change it to healthcare for all, or just change the name of it because of the stigma and the politics attached to Medicare for all.
Right.
You know, and, you know,
Plus,
anyway.
if you think about it in relation to what I think Biden's plan is going to be, he wants to expand ACA. So how would Medicare for all doesn't fit then? I think it's going to have to go through some metamorphosis and change, as I think we're going to change during the Biden administration. But I'm hopeful that there's going to be changes, but who knows? I don't know.
Well, y'all, we have 3 minutes left. Anybody else? What
does everybody think about the vaccine?
Oh.
I will take it only if all the elite politicians stand up on a stage live and take it first for all to see, wait 3 weeks and see what happens, and then I'll line up for my shot. I want them to be the leaders.
Well, if the plan that I'm seeing is out there,
are going to get it first.
Yeah.
So
healthcare workers.
yeah.
I think it'd be really good political theater, though, if all, like, you know, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, the turtle guy who's in the Senate, McConnell, all got together and got that shot in front of live cameras, and everyone just kind of like watch them over the next 2 weeks to see, you know, like if their hair falls out or something.
Haven't you seen the conspiracy that Trump actually got a vaccine? That's why he got better so fast. Haven't you heard that?
No, that's why his hair turned orange. Maybe he got his vaccine like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I usually just follow UFO conspiracies, like, you know.
Okay.
Not COVID conspiracies. I don't want to talk about them on Facebook message boards because I'll get deleted.
Is it true? We need to do maybe a few minutes to speak about the vaccine. I'm seriously talking now.
No, that's why I was hoping
Is it true that no one will be allowed to be in no government offices or anything if you don't have a certification of having the vaccine? And it's very confusing because I was watching yesterday Cooper, you know, and that lady, Miss Cohen.
Dr. Cohen.
Dr. Cohen, speaking about it, and she couldn't answer some of those questions, and then he couldn't answer the questions either. So they kept them going back and forth. So it's very, very disturbing and confusing at the same time because, you know, I don't want to get something in my system that we're not sure what it's going to help for, but also I want to make sure that we take care of ourselves. And if there's a vaccine, just like the flu shot, my mother still doesn't take the flu shots. I do. She still don't believe them for it. I do. So, you know.
So, Mamma Ruth, one of the reasons that I think Dr. Cohen and Governor Cooper weren't able to answer that because they had just met, the CDC had just voted like an hour before.
And I understand that. So we're not expecting, because nobody, now we got better in COVID. Remember when it first started? All those people that died, all the nurses didn't know what to do, doctors didn't know what to do, hospitals didn't have, they weren't prepared. I understand that.
Shut my door and unplug my phone.
Joel's the sanest of the bunch.
That's right. All right. Well,
we need the Jetsons here. We need the Jetsons.
The Jetsons. Thank you so much for joining us on Coffee and Pandusi. We have run out of time. All I have to say is if the vaccine does turn my hair purple, which is one of the conspiracies that's been going out there, I don't mind purple hair because purple is my favorite color. So
it's very regal.
Yeah, I'm
royal.
fine.
Yep.
Yes, very royal. I love purple. Thank you for stay on. If you're on Zoom, stay on so we can do the promo. But once again, join us next week. Dr. Bumfeld will be back next Wednesday, and we will be talking about Medicare for All. Finally, the great debate. If you want to know about Medicare for All, what the proposal is, thank you so much. So everyone, and hopefully we'll have
posting some information on our page. All right, COVID testing free. Bye, everyone.
Oh, yes. Ruth, you want to talk about that real quickly?
I'll be posting them on Facebook because I know you got something to go. So I'll share them.
Okay. All right. So COVID testing. All right, everybody. Bye.